So this morning I taught a Bible story at school about Ananias and Sapphira. And the lesson that I was teaching the children was about not trying to hide things from God. Like they tried to hide that they were keeping money back. And I did an object lesson about how our hearts and our lives are a little bit like this cup. It's very easy to hide things from other people and even from ourselves. Sometimes we don't know what's in our own hearts, and that's why we need to pray for God to search us. I taught a new verse to the children, which was, "Search me, O God, and know my heart," and the rest of it. But I said how to God, our hearts look more like this. God can see everything in our hearts, so it's very silly to try to hide things from God. So that was the point of my story. But what really spoke to me with this story is just the fact that they kept something back, and it convicted me because it made me think about, is there anything I'm holding back or not surrendering to God? So I've been thinking about that, and I have been convicted of a few things. But just to generalize things, there is a whole list of things that we should have surrendered to God, but we might not. So I'm going to read through the list. So one is our health. Is our health surrendered to God? Do we accept what health problems we might have? If that is God's will, are we surrendering our time? That can be a hard one, especially if we don't have much of it. We want to control our own time. Our possessions, our money, our home, or our own space, our privacy. That was a hard one when Lydia was in a hospital and we felt like we're in the public all the time, and I missed my own privacy. And also making videos too, it often makes me cringe to share anything personal. But that's something that needs to be surrendered to God too. And our children and our husband, they surrendered to God. Our energy. So sometimes doing what God wants us to do can be pretty exhausting. So we have to surrender our energy and our body to God. Our reputation is what God thinks more important to us than what other people think of us. Our rights, our dreams, and our desires. Are all these things on the altar? Are they all surrendered to God, or is there any of these things that we're holding back, trying to hold on to? Because it's easy to look like we are a Christian who has surrendered everything to God, and yet there may be things that other people don't see, but that God sees, that we're still hanging on to and not letting Him have control of. And I also have a few questions. Am I willing to simply be God's servant? So in my Bible class, I've just started having helpers. So each day, however many helpers I need, kind of have a system of picking some children so then they can be involved, but so that you're keeping on top of whose turn it is. Because they like to be involved, or most of them at least. But to be my helper, they need to sit by me, and they also need to listen to what I say, because if they want to help me, then they're not going to be much help if they just do their own thing and do what they want to do. And so it's the same with God. If we want to be useful to Him, if we want to help, then we need to stay close to Him, and we need to be willing to just do whatever He tells us to do. So that means we need to be God's servant, and that's something we need to be willing to do, because it can mean we have to give up a lot. So am I willing to simply be God's servant? That means I'm not the boss. That means I just do what I'm told. And even with making a video this week, I made a lot last week. Some of them I was making for a particular person. So I didn't really feel like making one this week, and I feel like just skipping it. But I'm not the boss. I need to pray about those decisions because I'm just a servant. Am I willing to serve God even if it's unappreciated, unnoticed, unpraised, if that's the word, by people? Am I willing to just keep on giving? And last night I listened to a sermon about being a servant, and that was quite good and helpful as well. It was preached to college students, but it applies to anybody, so I will try to remember to link that one as well. So is there anything you are holding back, like Ananias and Sapphira? And it's a daily thing too. Surrendering is a daily thing, not just something you do once and it's done for the rest of your life. So that's my challenge for me and for you. Siahan recently got a better keyboard than the one we had, and he also got Redemption hymns, which I've wanted one of those for a long time. So I've enjoyed playing and singing sometimes. But I was singing this song last week, and it really goes along with what I was just talking about not holding anything back.